Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And this weekend we have UFC 296 headlined by Leon Edwards looking to defend his welterweight title against the contender Colby Covington. Colby Covington is getting his third title shot. He's 0-2 in title fights. He's making his third attempt at the title this Saturday. Leon Edwards is looking to make his second welterweight title defense, his first of which was being to Usman, who he previously defeated to win the title. And in today's video, I'm going to be game planning for both fighters, starting with the contender, Colby Covington, moving on to the champion, Leon Edwards, game planning for both fighters, looking for the ways they can win, whether or not we're going to get a finish in this fight, all kinds of stuff like that. And finally, I'm going to be giving my official prediction for who I believe is going to get this one done and take home the welterweight strap this weekend at UFC 296. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to be starting with the contender, Colby Covington, and I'm going to be game planning for him, giving his weaknesses, his strengths, ways he can actually win this fight, and things he can do to have a lot of success against Leon Edwards. So the first thing I want to discuss is this is typically your grappler versus striker matchup. This is an Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. Of course, very two different stylistic fighters. Of course, Aljamain Sterling, nothing like Colby Covington. Sean O'Malley, nothing like Leon Edwards. But, it's your typical grappler versus striker. We see this constantly in divisions like welterweight. You know what I mean? We see this constantly in divisions like lightweight. We see the grappler versus striker matchups. And typically at the higher weight classes, we get those specialist fighters who aren't as well-rounded. But this is not the case in this fight. Leon Edwards and Colby Covington are both very good at their respective arts, as well as arts that they are not primarily using in the octagon. Colby Covington is a very good striker. Leon Edwards is a very underrated but good grappler in his own right. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing, firstly, Colby Covington's strength and his weaknesses, and I'm going to start off with the kickboxing. So, Colby Covington's kickboxing. And one thing I want to get off right in the beginning of this video is this is going to be a southpaw versus southpaw fight. So the first thing I'm going to give a strength to Colby Covington is going to be his defense. Colby Covington is going to be less susceptible to head kicks and body kicks in this fight. We see a lot of instances where, Leon Edwards will rail the body of Kamaru Usman with body kicks. He'll go up top of the head kicks. Something a lot of people don't understand is this is created because of the opposite stance fighters. We look at a perfect example of Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. Sean O'Malley, his game plan in this fight was to constantly stay in the opposite stance as Aljamain Sterling, setting up that power hand. His pull counter would not have been the same if he was in orthodox and Alja was in southpaw, or if they were both in orthodox or both in southpaw. My apologies. You know what I mean? When both fighters are in opposite stances, when they are mirrored in their stance, so, one fighter's in orthodox, one's in southpaw, or vice versa, it opens up the entire side of the body. The side of your body that you are facing off to the to the rest of the octagon, that side of your body is going to be open to the kicks and punches of your opponent. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. And also, on top of that, offensively and defensively, something that is open through this is outside foot placement. Moving your foot to the outside of your opponent's foot, especially in scenarios where you're fighting an opposite stance fighter, is going to be very effective. See, it is almost impossible to land any type of damaging punch other than like a lead, like a check hook, whether it's from orthodox or southpaw, if your opponent has the outside foot position. See, outside foot position is going to be very hard for me to talk about without showing examples on the screen, so I'm going to put some examples up on the screen. Outside foot placement allows you to set up your power hand and your power leg. It's very awkward to try to land damaging shots on your opponent when they have outside foot placement because it's almost like you're off to the side of your opponent. When you have outside foot placement, you have their entire body as a target that you're able to hit. And because of this fight, where Colby Covington and Leon Edwards are going to be in the same stance, that's not going to be as effective as a weapon. We look at a lot of scenarios where Leon Edwards is able to land those kicks to the body, to the head. A lot of his straight right and left hands, a lot of those come because he's in an opposite stance, because he can get that outside foot placement, so he can throw those head kicks. If you try to throw a head kick against someone and they have outside foot placement, you're either going to fall over, the head kick's not going to do any damage whatsoever. This is something that's you have to be very aware of in a fight. And there is something I'm going to talk about later in this video, which is going to greatly help Leon Edwards, something he does constantly in the octagon. I'm going to get into that later in the video, but this is actually going to help seemingly negate the effects of Colby Covington being in the same stance, both being southpaw fighters. You know what I mean? There's something that he does that helps negate this very well. But that is something to note. When Leon Edwards is a southpaw, quote, when he's a southpaw, keyword, southpaw, when he's a southpaw, it's going to be very hard for him to land devastating body and head kicks. However, his lead hand and lead leg are still going to be up, to be able to hit Colby Covington. Another thing you have to be aware of is his leg kicks. Colby Covington, now I'm going to go into a weakness of Colby Covington, is his leg kick defense. I'm going to put a lot of examples on screen right now, especially from the Jorge Masvidal fight, because that's the fight I studied the most, as it's most recent, and it's probably as far as recently, and I understand no Colby Covington fight is recent, but that's probably the closest thing we have to someone that's going to fight kind of like a Leon Edwards. Of course, Jorge and Leon have much different fight styles, but that's not too far off. As crazy as it might sound, Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards are different fighters, but they actually fight a little bit similar, if that makes sense. You guys can feel free to disagree in the comment section down below. But because you guys are in opposite stance, or because you guys are in the same stance, of course, it's going to take away that ability to get outside foot placement and do other kind of damaging strikes, but it's going to open up the lead leg. Your lead leg is going to be very available when you're in the same stance as someone. And we saw that Leon Edwards was still able to greatly damage the lead leg of Kamaru Usman in, their third fight where he made his first title defense, even though Kamaru Usman was in the opposite stance. And something he did a lot, which is that's what I was alluding to earlier, is Leon Edwards switches stances constantly. And even though Kamaru Usman was an orthodox and Leon Edwards was a southpaw, he was still able to switch stances to land those leg kicks. He's not going to need to do this in this fight. Colby Covington's lead leg is always going to be there. Colby almost exclusively fights in the southpaw stance, while Leon Edwards is very much a switch stance fighter. And because of this, Colby Covington's lead leg is going to be on a silver platter all night for Leon Edwards to be hammering away at with his leg kicks. You know what I mean? It's going to be much harder for Leon Edwards to land oblique kicks on Colby Covington because of the same stance, but the lead leg is going to be there for the taking. Colby Covington is going to be eating an insane amount of leg kicks in this fight, and that's certainly going to be a weapon that Leon Edwards is going to be looking for the entire time. Jorge Masvidal had a lot of success with that lead leg, attacking the lead leg, whether it was inside or outside leg kicks against Colby Covington. He does not do a good job of checking them. Another weakness I'm going to get to Colby Covington is when he defends leg kicks, he oftentimes switches stances. You know what I mean? He'll pull his lead leg back to switch stances, and he'll either bring his 2 feet together, which is going to expose him to head kicks. Whenever you cross your feet or bring them together, you are very exposed to punches and kicks. You always want to keep your feet in that stance, whether it's orthodox, whether it's southpaw, it doesn't matter. You don't want to be bringing your feet together, crossing your feet, going completely lateral. Only in very certain circumstances, very exclusive circumstances, do you want to be able to do something like that. And Colby Covington constantly does that. He rhythm steps a lot. Something I'm going to be talking about in this video is rhythm stepping. Both guys rhythm step a lot, and they do a lot of that heel clicking where they touch their feet together. And both guys have not been known as people that usually take advantage of these opportunities when they're presented, but it is going to be something to point out because it could end up leading to some type of big moment in a fight. As I spoke about earlier, Colby Covington is going to be less susceptible to body kicks as he normally would be, but he still is susceptible. We even saw when Jorge Masvidal went southpaw to south. When Jorge Masvidal would switch stances, or when Colby was an orthodox and they were both an orthodox stance, Colby Covington was still not showing very good defense to body kicks. Colby likes to keep a very high guard, where he kind of has a boxing guard. And another thing is he leans heavy on that lead leg, which exposes him to leg kicks, as I said earlier. But you know what I mean? Colby Covington is a high guard. So even though normally your body would not be exposed that often, Colby Covington, because of his high boxing guard, is actually going to be exposed to body kicks. And because of that, his liver is going to be exposed because he's a southpaw fighter. Same thing with Leon Edwards. His liver is exposed. Both these guys' livers are always exposed because they're in the southpaw stance. But Colby Covington's lead body, he's not good at defending body kicks at all. You know what I mean? Sometimes he does catch them. Sometimes he does have some success with them. But at the end of the day, Colby Covington, throughout his entire career, has shown susceptibility. Of course, he's not getting hurt and dropped all around the octagon with them, but he's still getting hit with nasty body kicks sometimes because of that high, tight guard. It's hard for him to drop his guard and bring it down to block that body kick, especially against the most elusive kicker that he's ever going to face in his entire career in Leon Edwards. The last thing I'm going to talk about defensively for Colby Covington in his striking is a flaw in his game. And this is something that Leon Edwards does as well. I'm going to touch on Leon Edwards' defense as well later in this video. But something Colby Covington will do is he'll kind of do that thing where a lot of boxers do it. They'll just touch their lead hand. It's almost like they're, trying to rest their head on their palm. And he'll pull straight back away from shots. This is not something you want to do, especially against someone like Leon Edwards. This is something you want to do against a guy that throws big, meaty hooks in the pocket. You know what I mean? Someone that's going to be throwing a lot of hooks, you can pull away and dodge that hook. But if Leon Edwards starts throwing those straight punches, which he does, Leon Edwards loves to throw a straight left hand. If you try to pull away like this, you're only exposing yourself more. The only thing you can do worse than that is drop your guard and go straight into the punch. Pulling away like this, it's only taking yourself off balance, and you actually have a very good susceptibility, not to getting rocked, but taken off balance. And when you get taken off balance like that, when you're pulling away and you get punched and you get taken off balance, it looks like you got dropped. Maybe you're not rocked that badly, but there's been a lot of scenarios where fighters will be pulling away from punches and they'll get hit, and it'll just kind of be like they're already moving this way, and then they get punched, and just kind of takes them off balance, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, they got dropped, and it's a massive moment. And even if Colby Covington doesn't get hurt at all by the punch, even if he's not affected, physically, he just gets knocked off balance, it could still sway the judges. It could still be a moment where the judges are like, oh man, Colby got dropped in that round. That was such a big moment for Leon. Even if the moment was nothing, even if Colby wasn't affected at all, he just got taken off balance and his equilibrium's fine, it's still going to be something the judges look at, and Colby needs to be very aware of that. He cannot be pulling away from punches like this. Against a guy like Jorge Masvidal likes to throw those hooks a lot, sure, but Leon Edwards loves to throw that straight left hand, and he doesn't have a lot of pop in it, but it's still going to be something that Colby needs to be aware of. Now we're going to get into the grappling of Colby Covington. Now, I'm going to start with offensively. Offensively, the first thing I noticed when breaking down Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington is not as good of a wrestler as people say he is. And I'm talking about his takedown shots, specifically up against the fence. Colby Covington does his best work once he's on the ground with you, specifically either when he's in half guard, mount, or especially in his favorite position, when he has a body lock on you. Colby Covington's body lock is a very dangerous weapon. And the problem is Leon Edwards is going to be massive. You see, Colby Covington looks small against Usman when they fight, and Usman looked small against Leon when they fought. So we can only expect Colby Covington is going to look tiny against Leon Edwards. I believe Leon Edwards is like 6'2 or 6'3, and Colby Covington is about 5'10. There's going to be a massive height and weight discrepancy against the two guys. And Colby Covington is known as being always been a very small welterweight. Leon Edwards is one of the biggest welterweights. He's much bigger than Kamaru Usman even. Of course, Usman's like a wider guy than him. He's bigger, he's more built. But Leon Edwards was mocking Usman in the cage, and that's something that's going to play a big role. Colby Covington is going to be fighting the biggest guy he's ever fought in his entire career. He struggled to take down the bigger opponents. He always has more success fighting former lightweights when he tries to take them down. He always has the most, struggle when he's trying to take down bigger guys. This is something that's common to everyone. This isn't exclusive to Colby. Trying to take down a bigger opponent is always going to be harder. And a guy like Leon Edwards, who has excellent takedown defense, it's going to be very difficult for Colby to take him down. If he does get the body lock on Leon, Colby Covington's body lock is going to be a massive weapon. I think if Colby was going to try to win this fight, a secret to game planning here could be Colby Covington should look to use the body lock throughout this entire fight in the grappling. You know what I mean? Of course, once he gets him down, that's one thing. But fighting for the body lock nonstop. When Colby gets that body lock, it's grueling. He's like a wet blanket. He drags on you. He hangs on to you. You know what I mean? And it's exhausting having all of his weight on it. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if he doesn't weigh that much or this or that, whatever you want to say. I don't like Colby as a person. You know what I mean? I don't like his personality and his antics. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to give him his fair shake as a fighter 100%. You know what I mean? I think that Colby has a very good body lock. I think he's very good in the clinch when he actually gets a hold of you, and when he actually, gets down into position, he's good at taking you down. But Colby's takedown entries are not that good. And this is something that has been very, very true throughout his entire career. Colby Covington has very, very sloppy takedown entries. People like to talk about Colby Covington as if he's one of the best, wrestlers in the entire MMA. You know what I mean? Colby is very good in the clinch when he has a dominant position, as I said earlier. But at the end of the day, Colby Covington's takedowns are very, very sloppy. I'm going to throw a lot of examples on screen right now just so you guys can watch this as I'm talking, so you don't just have some delusion and go and comment down some idiotic statement as if I'm lying or something like that. You can go look at Colby's takedowns. They are very sloppy. Jorge Masvidal was able to easily stuff the majority of Colby Covington's takedowns just because the shots were sloppy. You look at a stark contrast in takedown accuracy, takedown, the actual technique that they're using. Look at Davis and Figueiredo's takedowns. Look at his double legs. Look at Colby Covington's double legs. Colby Covington almost looks like he's throwing himself on you. You know what I mean? It's not a calculated shot where he's here and then, Hamza Chimaev style, he goes under your punch, grabs onto the legs, locks those hands together, gets good posture, drives into you, and pulls your hips off the fence. It's not like that. You look at the Jorge Masvidal fight. I don't want to hear about Jorge's takedown defense. It's not crazy good. He's gotten easily taken down by many fighters before. He was getting ragdolled by Gilbert Burns. I don't want to hear about it. He's not the best defensive wrestler in the world. Just because Colby Covington doesn't have success against a guy in every single aspect of a fight, doesn't mean there's some mastermind. You know what I mean? Colby Covington, a lot of times he'll just be pressing forward with his hooks, and then his opponents will put up their high guard, which is something that he can use to his success, and then he'll just kind of throw himself on them. It's almost like he's made out of jello. He'll just kind of throw himself and just kind of lay on you, hugging onto you in the clinch. I'm not trying to sound like some casual and say he's some type of nut hugger, but that's literally what he does sometimes. He just kind of throws himself onto you, and I'm trying to be as technical as possible, but this is not technical wrestling from Colby Covington. This is bad wrestling, and we saw it against Usman, who I believe is much better in the clinch than Colby Covington. Although I believe Colby Covington is better on the ground than Usman, in the clinch, Kamaru Usman is much more technical than Colby Covington. This is an objective fact. I don't want to hear from you guys. I'm an actual wrestler. Kamaru Usman is more technically perfect than Colby Covington in his clinch game, in his cage wrestling, as I would call it. You know what I mean? Colby Covington is very, very sloppy in these instances, and something that he can actually use to punish him. One, getting his takedown stuff sucks. Of course, it's a win for Colby in the sense that he can do it all day, so he's essentially banking like 20, 30 seconds every time he does this. But against Leon Edwards, I'm going to show some clips on screen now. Leon Edwards has a very good ability to simply slip out, pause. He's able to very easily reverse positions up against the fence. You know what I mean? Against a guy that's a lot stronger, a lot bigger than a guy like Colby Covington, a guy that's even better in his cage wrestling than a guy like Colby Covington. You know what I mean? A guy who has much better takedown entries than a guy like Colby Covington. And he was able to easily reverse Usman many times, and he only got grounded like 2 or 3 times throughout the entire fight. And Usman shot many takedowns. Most of them got stuffed. You know what I mean? Colby Covington, a lot of what he does is going to, from my personal opinion, it's just my personal opinion, and I could be wrong. Colby Covington could go out there and he could rob him, dominate him, do a Marab Peter Yan performance where he just gets, maybe he shoots a million takedowns, doesn't get any. Maybe he has a Dricus Duplessis performance against a guy like Darren Till, where he just shoots every takedown and he gets 100% takedown accuracy. But at the end of the day, from what I'm seeing, Colby Covington's sloppy takedown entries are going to be easily stuffed by a guy like Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards almost does everything right when he's stuffing takedowns. Of course, he does cheat sometimes. Leon Edwards is some of the most egregious cheating I've ever seen. I hate watching Leon Edwards fight, and I hate watching Colby fight as well. Colby had some egregious cheating moments against a guy like Jorge Masvidal. I still enjoy watching them fight. I won't say I hate watching them fight, but I hate watching them foul. And these are two guys that have been known to foul people in the past. But I just don't think the sloppy throwing yourself on your opponent is going to be that effective for Colby against a polished takedown defense artist like a guy like Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards is going to have a lot of success taking the running man stance, finding the, what do I call it, the Darce choke grip almost, double tricep grip almost. And he does a really good job grabbing that whizzer to prevent people from taking his back, while also fighting that lead hand, getting very heavy on his hips, leaning over his opponent. Colby also has very bad posture when he's trying to cage wrestle as well. Colby has terrible posture when he's trying to cage wrestle. This is one of the reasons why his takedowns are not that effective. This is one of the reasons why RDA is stuffing most of his takedowns. One of the reasons why Jorge Masvidal is stuffing most of his takedowns. One of the reasons why Kamaru Usman is stuffing most of his takedowns. It's because Colby Covington has terrible posture in the clinch. Now, another thing I want to get to really quickly defensively for Colby Covington is Colby Covington's dirty boxing. He exposed himself. There was an instance where Jorge Masvidal landed a really good check hook on Colby Covington. Colby Covington was pressing forward. Right after that, Colby Covington, I believe, landed a really good double jab on Jorge, which stung him a little bit. But Colby got stung with a check hook as he opened up. Colby will kind of have almost like a Dricus Duplessis style a little bit, where it kind of just run at you and throw stuff like this, and it'll just kind of be winging hooks out there, and then he'll kind of throw himself into a takedown, and then whether you defend it or not, you maybe get pushed off, or you push him off, and then he'll just kind of do this and throw himself on again for another takedown. And in those moments, Leon Edwards, who is way better at counter-striking than Jorge Masvidal, is going to be able to clip him. He's going to be able to clip Colby Covington, and I believe he could actually have a lot of success here. And there's one thing I'm going to get into later in the video when I'm breaking down Leon Edwards. I believe he's going to have a lot of success with a very certain weapon, which is going to be opened right after he exposes Colby Covington with these counter shots when Colby is being sloppy. Colby's been known throughout his entire career to sometimes get sloppy when he's about to shoot a takedown. Also, Colby's takedowns are very easy to see coming. People, once again, a good wrestler can hide their takedowns. Hamza Chimaev can hide his takedowns. He's up here, he's faking, he's throwing 1-2, he's faking, jab, cross, whatever, he's shooting a takedown, whatever. You know what I mean? Colby Covington, it's very obvious when he's about to shoot a takedown when he's going to strike. He starts to lean his posture forwards, maybe he's still throwing strikes, and then he just kind of falls down on top of you. Colby Covington's takedowns are very easy to see coming. And against a guy like Leon Edwards, I just don't see him being able to go out there and easily take down Leon. He might ground him, but do not be surprised, guys. Do not be surprised if Colby only gets a single takedown or only 2 takedowns in this entire fight. I would not be surprised in the slightest. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if Colby doesn't get a single takedown this entire fight, guys. The last 2 things I want to discuss as far as Colby Covington are, one, really quick, he's going to have a lot of success with the uppercuts. Leon Edwards typically has a wider guard. Sometimes he'll close it up, but when it's open, it's wide. He's not always here like Peter Yan and he closes it. It's always here, and then he closes it when he's up against the fence. And Colby Covington is going to have a lot of success with a guy like Leon Edwards who dips his head sometimes, landing those uppercuts. Now, Leon Edwards is going to be able to do the exact same thing because Colby also does this. He also leans his head. But Colby Covington is going to be able to land those uppercuts on Leon Edwards. It's something that he did to Jorge, and I believe I'm seeing Leon Edwards the way he defends. I believe he also got rocked by Brian Barberena in this exact same way with an uppercut. I'm not sure. I have to go back and rewatch it. But Leon Edwards, it looks like he's susceptible to the uppercut. I see the opening there. I see the opening, and I don't think Colby's going to knock him out with an uppercut, but it's just going to be a punch that's there that he can go to throughout the fight that's going to have success for him. Last thing, Colby Covington, his pressure is overrated. One, Colby Covington has no ability to cut off the cage whatsoever. He follows you in the direction that you're moving. You look at a guy like Sean Strickland, who will excellently cut off the cage. He restricts your movement. You look at a guy like Volkanovski, who can restrict your movement. You know what I mean? And then you look at a guy like Colby Covington. I'll show instances of him horrible cage cutting, shooting sloppy takedowns, getting thrown off. There was one sequence where he was failing to cut off the cage, shot a very sloppy takedown, and then got thrown off and basically bounced off the cage. He kind of like fell into the cage and got bounced off. If he tries to do this against Leon Edwards, he's going to fail. He couldn't do it to Jorge in those sloppy exchanges. He's not going to be able to do it to Leon. Leon's a much better takedown defense, much faster, stronger, more powerful, bigger. I just don't see him being able to have that kind of success. And if it's not working against Jorge, it's not going to work against Leon, in my opinion. Now, on to the champion, Leon Edwards. The first thing I want to talk about, and I believe this is actually going to be one of the biggest keys to success for Leon Edwards throughout the entire fight, period. Leon Edwards is going to have a field day with Colby Covington when he can use step-in knees and step-in elbows. Leon Edwards is step in knee. It's the same thing that Arman Tsarukyan used against Beneil Dariush. Of course, it's not the punch, or I would say not the actual strike that knocked out Beneil Dariush. Of course, it was the right hand, but it's kind of the same thing. Leon Edwards will get that Muay Thai plung, and he'll pull you into one of his knees. If you start blocking to the head really good, he can just throw him to the body, and it's going to be a solid attack. Leon Edwards rocked Usman really bad in the second round, and he also did it again. I don't know if he rocked him as bad, but I believe there were two other instances, and I'm going to throw them on screen. I'll show the combination, actually. Leon Edwards rocked Usman with a knee, and then also there's another instance where he's piecing him up. He kind of slips a punch to the outside, throws a... Lucas Tracy was talking about this, by the way, and it made me go rewatch this sequence again. And he kind of slips two punches, throws a hook to the body right on the solar plexus, and then I believe he throws an elbow and then like a right hand or something. It was an incredible combination by Leon Edwards. I'm failing to remember exactly what happened, but I'll throw the clip on screen just so you guys can have context of what I'm talking about. But Leon Edwards is absolutely excellent when he mixes up. Now, his boxing is not that good. His defensive boxing especially is not that good. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I see from Leon Edwards, especially in the first round of the Usman fight, where he's throwing wild counter shots. Usman will kind of come in for like maybe a jab to the body, and then Usman pulling away, Leon Edwards will try to counter him by throwing a big winging hook. And he didn't do this later in the fight. He stopped doing it. He adjusted, so I'm expecting him, if he does do that, he's going to adjust against Colby. But Leon Edwards is going to have to restrict himself from doing stuff like this. This is stuff that's going to waste pointless energy. It's not a strike that's landing. It's not a strike that's efficient. If he would just throw a jab, like a counter jab, Usman throws a jab to the body, Leon counters with a jab as Usman's trying to pull away, he can land a good shot there. Tries throws one of those wild winging hooks that's not going to land. It's not going to be an effective strike. You know what I mean? One last thing. I forgot to talk about this in reference to Colby. Colby has excellent shifting combos. Colby likes to shift as he throws hooks. He'll shift from stance to stance as he throws those hooks in the same way that a guy like Dustin Poirier will do so. And it's very effective. Colby's been very effective with it. It's very polished at doing so. Of course, it's still dirty boxing. It's still sloppy, but it's still very, very effective. As I said earlier, when Colby Covington has those sloppy exchanges where he'll be dirty boxing you and then he'll throw himself into a takedown, instances like this, I see Leon Edwards catching him. As I spoke about earlier, when Colby Covington has those sloppy exchanges with the dirty boxing where he's throwing himself onto you, Leon Edwards, I believe, is going to have a field day with Colby Covington with those step-in knees. Also, another thing, as I spoke about earlier, Colby does have dirty boxing, and we see the instance where he gets dropped against Jorge Masvidal. It's because he's waiting to the pocket with his hands starting to lower. He's getting dirty boxing. He's starting to get a little sloppier because once he kind of gets in that pressure mindset, his kind of sloppiness goes down, drops, decreases, or his sloppiness increases, I would say. You know what I mean? His defense decreases. And I can see a scenario where Leon Edwards is able to catch him. I don't think Leon Edwards is going to drop Colby with his hands in this fight. Keyword, not with his hands. But I can see a scenario where Leon Edwards maybe clips him, hurts him, stings him, or even just lands a good shot on him because of Colby Covington's lack of defense when he's pressuring like that. But don't be surprised. Leon Edwards also has very bad defense defensively when it comes to the boxing. He's crisp with it. He makes it work, but I can see someone like Colby exploiting it, especially in this fight. Another thing I wanted to get to earlier, and it was something I kind of spoke about a little bit, Leon Edwards constantly switches stances. Of course, he's a southpaw fighter, but against Usman, in order to set up certain strikes like the leg kicks and such, he switched stances. So I can see vice versa, where instead of looking to set up the leg kicks because they're already going to be there, he can switch stances to set up the head kicks and the body kicks. And this is something that Jorge Masvidal was able to do. He wasn't switching stances to say, but he was, able to land those kind of strikes. I can see him switching to orthodox just for a moment, just to throw a leg kick, just to throw a body kick, a head kick, switching back to southpaw, and then fighting the fight as he normally would. As I was speaking about earlier about Leon Edwards' poor boxing defense, Leon Edwards has a huge tendency to drop his hands. There's multiple instances where Leon Edwards is easily getting pushed up against the fence. He'll kind of back his butt up into the fence just to kind of make sure, give himself reassurance. Okay, I'm up against the fence. I know where I am. I know I can see everything. I can feel the cage. I know exactly where I am. And then he'll kind of drop his hands a little bit, and he'll kind of be weaving his head. Now, I'm not super worried about him getting hurt by Colby Covington. He did get hurt by Nate Diaz, who does have pillow hands, of course. So Colby could 100% sting him badly in this fight and rock him. But it's more so the fact that Colby can touch him when he's doing this. Colby can just kind of touch him with a couple shots, shoot him and take down, have a big moment, that can steal him around, steal him moments, and enough moments win you rounds, you know what I mean? So I'm very worried about, Leon Edwards constantly dipping his hands. And of course, his fifth round against Kamaru Usman was one of his best rounds, if not his best round in the entire fight. But at the end of the day, it's like Leon Edwards, and this is something I didn't write down in my notes, but it's something I kind of wanted to talk about. Leon Edwards kind of looks like at any given moment in a fight he could give up. He doesn't, he keeps fighting, but it's almost like a gust of wind blows the wrong way, Leon Edwards might give up. He might quit. He might give in. And of course, he's not going to do that. I don't think he's going to do that. It's just something I see. Leon Edwards looks like he's got this face on constantly. It might just be his fight face. I don't know what it is, but it's like when he's fighting, he has this face on where it's it's almost like he just looks scared. He looks scared in there sometimes. And I don't think he is, but it just looks like it, and it's off-putting. It's not something I'm going to really look into when I'm, giving my official prediction, but It's something that I just wanted to put out there for you guys because a lot of people have talked about it, and I see the same thing. I see what you guys are talking about. I'm not going to use it as a reason to pick against him or pick for him, but it's just something I wanted to put out there. As for a pro for Leon Edwards, something he does well, though, with his boxing defense is he has very crisp head movement. He is very, very good at slipping to the outside of straight punches, especially leaning to his left side, you know what I mean? Which, of course, Colby Covington could exploit. If Leon Edwards has his hands down and he slips to the outside of a punch, Colby Covington could throw a same side combination, the same thing that Leon Edwards did to Kamaru Usman to knock him out. He could throw he would be a southpaw, but he could switch to orthodox, which is something he does sometimes. Or he could be in southpaw and throw out a jab and throw out a high kick after that. But it's something where he could switch to orthodox, throw out a right hand, throw a high kick behind it, and Leon's hands would be down. He would be open to this. He's slipping to the outside of the straight punches. He could be open to the head kick. But it is something where Colby's not going to have that much success from that, because a lot of what Colby does is he likes to push you to his left. Colby likes to push you to his left to set up all of his power shots. He wants you moving because he's a southpaw. He's not here. He's here. He wants you over here so that he can punch you with his power hand and with his power leg. He wants to kick you. He doesn't want you moving this way. All he can really throw on this side is like a weak kick or like a lead hook, you know what I mean, or like a jab. All of your power stuff you want over here. If you're orthodox, you want it over here, and you don't want them if you're orthodox moving this way. So for a guy like Colby Covington, I can see him having a lot of trouble trying to pin down Leon Edwards because he wants Leon moving this way and Leon is moving that way, which is something he does a lot. Leon Edwards is having issues because he wants Colby moving this way and Colby's moving that way. You know what I mean? But don't be surprised because the counter striker will have the advantage in this scenario. If Colby's pressing forwards and Leon is standing his ground, he's going to have more success with that check hook than Colby Covington is going to have with his check hook because, Colby's moving into him. He's going to be the counter striker. You know what I mean? Leon's going to be able to counter him sometimes with that. Another thing I want to talk about is Leon Edwards has very crisp counter striking. I talked about the wild winging lead hook, but with his backhand, with his power hand, he actually does a very good job of, using his straight left hand to counter. A lot of times you'll see Kamaru Usman throwing jabs to the body, mixing up top, kind of wading into the pocket, leaning heavy on that lead leg, which is something that Colby Covington does. It's almost the exact same thing. It's almost like they're the same fighter. And then as they're trying to pull away, Leon Edwards will throw that hand out and boom, catch him on the end of the chin. You know what I mean? That's something that I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, 100% he's going to have success with. Another thing, and this is something that Colby Covington sucks at. Colby Covington, once his takedown has been stuffed and it's kind of not there anymore, and this is something that, honestly, I don't think Leon's going to have a ton of success with unless he hangs around in the pocket too much, is Colby Covington sometimes shoot on a takedown. He doesn't get it. Of course, you're not going to get every takedown you shoot on, but Colby Covington will still kind of stay in the clinch. He'll just kind of be up against you, and this is something we saw a lot in the Jorge fight because Jorge wasn't doing a good job of reversing the position. He was just kind of stuffing the takedown if he did stuff it or he gets taken down, and then he would just kind of hang out there where they're both kind of like up against each other, up against the cage. It's almost like it's two middle schoolers having a makeout session, in the hallway or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? They're just kind of laying up against each other and they're kind of fighting their hands down by their crotch, which, call it what you want, pause. But I can see there was a lot of scenarios, and there was one in particular I want to discuss where Jorge Masvidal actually came over the top with an elbow and, caught Colby Covington, who was sitting there hanging around. Colby Covington was kind of draping his chin over the shoulder of Jorge, and we could see Leon implement some of those Conor McGregor shoulder strikes there, but Colby Covington was kind of draping his chin over the shoulder, and, Jorge Masvidal countered him and came over the top with an elbow and cracked Colby Covington. You know what I mean? He kind of stung him a little bit with that. And I can see Leon Edwards doing that. Leon Edwards uses his elbows way more than Jorge Masvidal. So 100% that's going to be a weapon. You know what I mean? Leon Edwards is going to have a lot of success with the elbows in this fight. I'm very confident in that. One of the last things I want to discuss for, Leon Edwards in this breakdown is Leon Edwards will sometimes pull away from shots like this. Sometimes we'll see Leon Edwards actually pull away from a shot and he'll kind of do a Philly shell almost, where he's turning that lead shoulder away and he's kind of leaning away. That's going to expose the hips, and Colby Covington could pressure him, get Leon Edwards to do that. Of course, the issue is if Leon does that, he's going to be leaning to Colby's weak side. So Colby isn't, unless he switches to orthodox and does a shifting combo, which is something I mentioned, which he could have success with, but it's not something he does all the time in these particular scenarios. He usually does this further and more in the center of the octagon. You know what I mean? Up against the fence, he likes to stay in his stance more so that he can set up his takedowns, because he likes to shoot from southpaw more than he does from orthodox. You know what I mean? He wants to be in southpaw when he shoots. So in the center of the cage, we'll see a lot more shifting combos, Dustin Poirier style, but up against the fence, we'll see a lot more orthodox, exclusive striking for Colby Covington. You know what I mean? So Leon Edwards likes to lean away to his left side, which is going to be Colby's weak side, but he could still get caught when Colby Colby will double up on his lead hook or his lead jab sometimes. He likes to double up with that jab or double, even triple up on his lead hook. And I can see him kind of just touching Leon Edwards' guard when he does this. It's not going to be something that really does any damage to Leon, but it's still going to be something where it's going to be a strike. It's going to count. It's going to, sway the judges. It's going to win Colby rounds if he can do that enough. You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to move on to game planning for both fighters. I'm going to start with the contender Colby Covington and move on to the champion Leon Edwards. As for Colby Covington, the way I would win this fight is I would stay at range as little as possible. Something Leon Edwards likes to do is the moment he has you at range, where it's kind of more of a kickboxing match, he'll just whip out a body kick as fast as he can. You know what I mean? It'll be hard body kicks. You know what I mean? He'll be no body kicks, no nothing, because he's being backed up, he's being pressured. He backs you up for a second, boom, he's throwing a body kick, he's throwing a head kick, he's throwing a leg kick, you know what I mean? If I'm Colby Covington, this is almost Colby Covington's exclusive style. Colby needs to be on the gas the entire time. Colby, in his last fight with Jorge Masvidal, there was a lot of instances, especially early in the fight, where Colby Covington would allow Jorge to pressure him very easily. It's like Colby wasn't really comfortable. I would say comfortable is the right word. Colby didn't really feel that comfortable pressuring Jorge Masvidal until Jorge was significantly tired and, wasn't really willing to pressure Colby back. But early in the fight, when Jorge was still fresh, Colby was very, very confident and very, very, susceptible to getting backed up by Jorge, even all the way up against the cage. He was literally very willing and, really not fighting back at all, not much resistance. He would back up very easily. Then we saw a stark contrast where later in the fight, he would not let Jorge back him up at all, other than the time that he got dropped, of course. Colby needs to be on the gas from minute 1 to minute 25. And I'm saying minute 1 to minute 25 because there will not be a finish for Colby Covington in this fight. If I'm Colby Covington, do not bank on finishing Leon Edwards. It's probably not going to happen. If I'm Colby Covington, I need to be on the pressure the entire time, and Colby needs to be looking to get the body lock on Leon Edwards. Something that Colby needs to do is throw a lot of hooks while still staying very technically sound. He needs to be very aware of the knees, very aware of the clinch. He needs to do a lot of hand fighting, which is something we don't normally see from Colby that much. We don't see as much hand fighting. We see a lot more tight guard instead of extended guard. And we see a lot more extended guard and a little bit less tight guard from a guy like Leon Edwards. Colby Covington, he needs to be very much hand fighting to avoid getting clinched up with and kneed. You know what I mean? And he needs to be very much looking, at least on the feet, to back Leon Edwards up, cage cut him, and maybe look to land some leg kicks of his own, land some body kicks, head kicks of his own, but really just drain him. Land straight shots. Another thing that's going to be very important for him is something Sean Strickland did. Don't punch Leon where he is. Punch him where he's going to be. If you know that Leon Edwards is constantly dipping away like this, don't punch him here. He's going to dip out to the side. Intercept him by throwing more of a looping jab, more of a cross, more of just a lead hook in general. Straight shots are going to be your friend if you're Colby Covington. And another thing is going to be same side combo. Because if Leon is constantly slipping out of the way of the straight shots, Colby can still follow it up with a kick. He can still follow it up by it with, maybe a jab into a hook, a jab into a high kick, a jab into a body kick. You know what I mean? Maybe a straight into a kick. It doesn't matter. Straight, same side combinations are going to be huge for Colby Covington as Leon Edwards looks to be elusive and slip out of the way and move around. You know what I mean? And then as far as grappling, Colby Covington needs, oh my gosh, he is not going to get a single takedown if he's sloppy in this fight. Colby Covington will not take down Leon Edwards if he uses sloppy takedowns. Unless Leon Edwards gasses out badly in this fight, which I don't see happening because his last fight was a very high pace and he didn't look gassed at all at the end of the fight. In fact, he won the 5th round and he looked very good doing so. You know what I mean? So I just don't see a scenario where, Colby Covington is able to take him down. If Kamaru Usman shooting strong, technical takedowns, fast technical takedowns against Leon Edwards wasn't getting the job done, I don't see Colby Covington going out there and just drowning him with sloppy takedowns in the way that he did to Jorge Masvidal. If Jorge Masvidal is stuffing the majority of your takedowns, and I can literally put the stats on screen right now, Jorge Masvidal is stuffing the majority of his takedowns. I don't see you going out there and just dominating a guy like Leon Edwards and easily taking him down, a guy that's bigger, stronger, younger, faster, way more technical when it comes to his defensive and offensive wrestling. I don't see him going out there and drowning a guy like Leon Edwards with the sloppy takedowns. When he does get a hold of him, he needs to be very, very quick. He needs to be constantly attacking. Something we saw out of Colby's last fight is he'd be very comfortable with just chilling out in a position. He'll kind of grab a single leg, he'll get defended. Jorge Masvidal will have a couple underhooks, and then Colby will just be hanging out there and kind of thinking what his next move should be. He cannot think about what his next move should be. He needs to be on the gas. He needs to be pressuring Leon Edwards immediately, forcing Leon to constantly work, and weaponizing his cardio as much as possible. Cardio is going to be his best friend. Look to gas Leon out. A lot of jabs to the body, a lot of teeps, a lot of body kicks, you know what I mean? Constantly working the body, you know what I mean? Knees to the body when they're in the clinch as much as possible. And then constantly working around. Single leg fails, immediately looking up, going down, up, down, left, right. And that is going to make his wrestling a lot more sloppy, of course. His entries need to be better because Leon is very good at coming down and just stuffing entries. But once he's got a hold of Leon, he needs to be very quick to move around, change it up, switch it up, go back up, maybe take off, abandon the takedown, land an elbow as he steps away, land a straight left or right hand, and then go right into another takedown as you're landing it. You know what I mean? Very quick, very much. Colby should try to gas himself out in this fight. He should try to have a higher pace than he's ever had in his entire life in this fight, if that makes sense. And that's kind of my game plan. Don't take any back steps. Immediately once the fight starts, run across the octagon, pressure Leon Edwards. Don't give him any minutes to breathe. Don't let Leon Edwards sit there and think about what he should do next. Don't let Leon Edwards calculate a plan to beat you. Get in Leon Edwards' face and do not let him breathe. Now, I'm going to be game planning for Leon Edwards. What Leon Edwards needs to do. For Leon Edwards, how would I game plan for him? Constant stance switches. Constant stance switches. He needs to be very aware of Colby Covington's takedowns, though, when he does switch to orthodox. Colby is very much going to be comfortable and looking for the takedown when, Leon Edwards is in his orthodox stance, which is, it's not his typical stance. He's usually a southpaw. But when he's orthodox, that lead leg is going to be there. They're going to be matching lead legs. Colby Covington is going to look to land a combo and then snatch onto that lead leg, looking for a single leg, eventually pushing him up against the fence and looking for a double leg, looking to find the back, looking to find a body lock, things like that. He needs to be very aware of the takedowns when he's in that orthodox stance, and he needs to be whipping leg kicks. Colby Covington, you should not be worried about Colby checking kicks. Colby has never checked a kick in his entire career. Of course, maybe he has. You can go back and look at every single kick throughout his entire career. Colby Covington does not check kicks at all. Colby Covington sometimes will pull his leg away, but he's never checking kicks. He's always, eating kicks. You know what I mean? He's always getting hit with leg kicks. He's never really doing anything to defend against them other than just pulling his leg away. And if he does that, Leon Edwards could set up a head kick where Colby pulls his feet away and he kind of, as I talked about earlier, does a little heel click where his feet are literally, it looks like he's doing penguin feet where he's standing like this and Leon throws a head kick and Colby's standing like a stick figure and he gets hit with that head kick and rocked badly. You don't want to have bad posture when you're trying to defend shots. You know what I mean? Leon Edwards 100% needs to be railing that lead leg of Colby Covington whenever he switches stances. And even when he's in southpaw, he can still land those lead leg kicks on Colby Covington. You know what I mean? Another huge weapon for him is going to be the straight left hand. When Colby Covington tries to come in with his hooks, he needs to keep his lead guard high and just shoot a straight left hand down the pipe. You know what I mean? He's here. He needs to do a lot of feinting uppercuts, a lot of feinting kicks, a lot of feinting knees up the middle, lifting that lead leg a lot, you know what I mean? And just pumping out that left hand, clipping it. Colby Covington is going to be very susceptible to that. He does not do a good job of slipping shots out to the outside. Something he will do is he'll pull away from shots, but against a guy with a very long reach like Leon Edwards, where he's maybe just pulling out of the way against Usman, Leon's still going to be able to clip him. Maybe he's just out of the way here against Usman, Leon's going to be right here. He's going to be landing those shots. You know what I mean? So Colby pulling away from Leon's not going to be the way to win. You know what I mean? But Leon Edwards needs to be throwing that left hand. He needs to be setting up kicks, and he needs to be circling a lot. Another thing he needs to be doing is very active. He needs to be very active in the clinch, grabbing Colby Covington, landing those knees to the head, following up with elbows, then circling, taking the center of the octagon, pressing him back with a double jab, switching stances, body kick, double jab. You know what I mean? Left hand, body kick. You know what I mean? Switch stances, leg kick, double jab. Grabs him in the clinch, knee, elbow, push him off, body kick, jab. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's what he needs to do. Of course, he's not going to keep that the entire time, but it's something that he can do. Another thing, he should not shoot a single takedown. Leon Edwards and Jorge Masvidal both did this in their last fights. I don't understand what it is. Maybe it's because Leon took him down in the first fight. He got a dominant position, whatever. Leon Edwards was looking for takedowns against Kamaru Usman. Do not do this. He should not do this against Colby Covington. If he has a moment where maybe Colby slips over, because there are a lot of instances where Colby and Jorge would throw kicks at the exact same time, their legs would kind of clash, Colby would fall over for whatever reason. Sometimes it wasn't really, Jorge the one falling most of the time. It was usually Colby. Colby would kind of slip back. He was off balance. He'd fall over. And then Jorge, there was one instance where he did that, and Jorge tried to fall him to the ground. Colby was able to get to kind of a headlock position. Jorge was kind of looking for almost to set up a Darce choke. It kind of looked like maybe an anaconda. He was kind of cranking on that head. Colby drove him up against the fence and got the back position with the body lock in literally seconds. Leon Edwards should not waste his time trying to grapple with Colby Covington on the ground. Get back up to your feet. Look to have more success. Colby wants to be on the ground with you. Don't go to his world. Like Joe Rogan always says, Ryan Spann, Ilya Taporia is really going to Ryan Spann's world here. He's really in his world. He's in a lot of danger just to get knocked out in a couple of seconds. You know what I mean? But Leon Edwards needs to be very, very, very active. He needs to be very, very active on the feet, frustrating Colby Covington. Teep kicks are going to be a huge weapon for Leon Edwards in this fight. He doesn't usually use them a lot. Against Usman, he was just out of range with a lot of them, and he usually uses them not really to do damage, but just to find range and keep Usman at distance. Same thing's going to be true for Colby. Colby's not good at catching teeps. You know what I mean? He'll kind of try to throw his hand down and do the typical Muay Thai defense. We're going to have his high guard, and he'll try to, kind of push the teep kick out of the way, scoop with his hand, and go to the... But because of that, he's not going to be able to catch it. I mean, how are you going to catch a teep kick like this when the teep kick's here and you're trying to push it to the outside? He's not going to be able to catch it. You know what I mean? Colby Covington's not someone that catches teep kicks. He does catch body kicks sometimes, but for the most part, Colby just blocks shots. He's not really good at catching them. So Leon Edwards is going to have a lot of success using that teep kick to find range, keep Colby Covington away from him. The further Colby is away from Leon Edwards in this fight, the more success Leon is going to have. Leon Edwards is going to be able to land those kicks. He's going to be able to circle a lot easier, and Colby Covington's takedowns, especially from that far away, are going to be horrible. You know what I mean? Colby, if he wants to shoot good takedowns, is going to have to get right up in Leon's face, get him in the clinch, dirty boxing style, shoot a takedown, and Leon least expects it. You know, he cannot be 5 feet away from Leon diving at his legs like he was against Jorge Masvidal. You know what I mean? Where Jorge was just stuffing those takedowns because of that. And Jorge has terrible takedown defense. I don't understand why people overrate it so much. Just because Colby, everyone looks at Colby as this god-tier grappler, and Jorge stuffed a couple of takedowns doesn't mean Jorge has amazing takedown defense. Colby is not that good at takedown defense. I've been saying this Colby's not that good at takedowns. I've been saying this for a while. Now, I've broken down both fighters. I've gone over their last fights. I've game planned for both fighters. Now it's time to give my official prediction. Guys, I've thought about this long and hard, and in my original prediction, when I first got the news broken to me, I watched the Dana White video. I just got out of, I believe it was either electricity class or heating principles class. I'm not sure what it was. I was taking one of my classes at trade school, and I got out of class, and I saw the news. I literally saw it. I didn't watch it yet. I got to my car. I waited till I was in my car. I got the car heated up and everything. I waited till I was all cozy, and I watched the video, and immediately I was thinking Colby Covington's going to get it done. I see Leon Edwards melting in the later rounds. But I rewatched Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Leon Edwards won the 5th round. It was his best round of the entire fight. And I see a scenario where Leon Edwards just doesn't gas out. I don't see Leon Edwards going out there and just getting melted like he did at altitude. You know what I mean? Leon Edwards was shown that he can stuff takedowns, consistent takedowns, and keep a high striking pace for 5 straight rounds without gassing out. You know what I mean? And I don't see it being any different against Colby Covington. And for that reason, paired with the fact that Colby Covington has been out of the octagon for nearly 2 years, he's going to be ring rusted. It's going to be a while. He's going to have to get used to it. Leon Edwards, I believe, is going to take advantage of those early rounds. Maybe Colby wins the late rounds. Maybe it's a situation where it's Leon Edwards 3-2, where he takes the first 3, Colby wins the last 2. But honestly, as for an official prediction, I am going to go Leon Edwards via decision. I think he's going to get it done via unanimous decision, and I think he's going to get it done 4 rounds to 1. 49-46 for Leon Edwards. And I do believe he's going to not only drop Colby Covington in this fight, I believe he's going to sting Colby Covington badly in this fight as well. Colby is going to get hurt. We have not seen this guy fight in nearly 2 years. He's going to be, like 35, 36 years old. He's getting a lot older. He's getting up there in age. The chin's not going to be as good. The strength's not going to be as good. The cardio's not going to be as good. We are about to see one of the weakest versions of Colby we've ever seen in our entire lives. And this isn't because I don't like Colby or anything like that. This is simply how testosterone works. You do not get stronger and more athletic as you get older. Colby Covington is at that point in his career where, and not just in his career, in his life, where statistically you start to lose testosterone, you start to get older, you start to get weaker, it gets harder to put in those hard rounds in the gym. And do not be surprised, paired with the fact that Leon Edwards is going to be ripping to the body in this fight, do not be surprised if we see Colby start to get tired in the later rounds. Don't be surprised if him getting his takedown stuffed nonstop and he's eating jabs when he's trying to take a deep breath. Don't be surprised if Colby starts to gas. I'm not saying he's going to. I actually don't think Colby's going to gas in this fight. I think Colby's going to have a lot of success in the later rounds, especially if Leon Edwards starts to fade, which I think is more likely than Colby fading. But the chin, the fact that he was getting rocked by Jorge, not just with the drop, he also got stung badly at other moments in the fight. And he has a really good job. He does a good job of hiding it and making it seem like he's not that hurt. But I just see a scenario where he gets dropped and gets beat via decision. I think Leon Edwards is going to bank rounds. I think he's going to do a really good job of nullifying Colby Covington's grappling threat. And I think that Leon Edwards is going to be able to get this one done via 49-46 decision. Colby is maybe going to bank 1 round. Maybe it's going to be, if gun to my head, I think it's going to be the 4th round. I think Colby's going to bank the 4th round. Leon's going to come back in the 5th round and make some adjustments, or might be the 3rd round. In fact, I'm going back and forth on whether Colby's going to win the 3rd or 4th round. But if I had to give my exact prediction, I think that Colby Covington's going to lose this fight via 49-46 decision, and Leon Edwards is going to sting him badly with a knee in the clinch twice in this fight. He's going to hurt him with a body kick from the orthodox position, and he's also going to sting him multiple times and possibly drop him with a straight left hand. I think Colby is going to be at his weakest in this fight. We're going to see the weakest version of Colby. I think he's going to get dropped with a knee in the clinch. I think he's going to get stung with the left hands. I think he's going to be getting hurt with elbows over the top by Leon Edwards. And I don't think it's going to be some super dominant performance by Leon, but I think it's going to be a very clear win for him, and that's why I'm going with Leon Edwards via unanimous decision. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, turn on notifications. Don't forget to subscribe so you do not miss another upload. Let me know who you guys are predicting down below in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this super long video. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.